Hi, all. How are you doing? Um, in this talk, we're going to look at the reading for chapter 5, right? Chapter 5 on inspired logical strategy that works. So we'll be looking at that chapter, and this one is particularly interesting because it's a way to test your ideas. Now, this concept. I really can't overemphasize how beneficial I believe this will be to your future in business or any time you need to be writing something or presenting ideas and supporting those ideas. Now, one of the key things, what I found in my career to adding value at work, is to identify problems and provide solutions in writing. Management and companies, they've got tons of problems. It's problems all over the place and not that many solutions. And becoming known as a person who provides solution can go a tremendous way in terms of impacting positively your career. And what I have found is that a lot of people are unwilling to take the time to analyze a problem, identify a problem, put it in writing, put the solution in writing, and then basically get it approved by the people that are in charge of approving things. So when you see issues, when you see problems, most people will talk about them. They'll say, let's do this, but they won't document it and they won't support it to the extent that it can be approved and a change in policy is made. And I think that's a really, I found that to be extremely powerful way to stand out in your company and to be known, and also to make a difference, and also to really further your advancement in your career, because you'll be known as a person that gets stuff done and makes things happen, which is important for us. In this chapter, you've seen that the concept of logical writing, and the concept there is that writing is usually not good or bad. Sometimes we say, "I'm a good writer. He's a good writer. I like what she wrote. It made sense. But basically, the what's happening is that some writing makes sense. It's logical, and some writing doesn't make sense. And it's not good or bad because it can be a lot of errors, grammatical, spelling, etc. But you still think, well, that worked. But without knowing. What it really is, my view, is that you have logical writing and illogical. Good logical writing, bad illogical writing. And that's really it is. And again, I'll say that if you learn to write logically and with supporting your ideas through logic, you will transform the way you do business, and it'll make a gigantic impact on your career. Logical writing has a format. Now, this is the structure of writing. You've seen it in the book. I'll go over it quickly, but I do emphasize that you give it your best shot to try this. Now, basically, when you're writing logically, what you want to do is figure out what's wrong. And again, you're in your company, you're looking around and say, what are you seeing that maybe somebody else isn't seeing? What do you notice that isn't being picked up? What's not working that should be working? What's the situation? What's happening? So you're looking at that. You're an observant strategist. And then you go through the gap, like we've been speaking repeatedly on, is that where do we want to be? And usually when you see something's wrong, it's exactly that. We wanted to be here, we're here. Where should we be? What do we have? What do we want? How far did we get? How far did we want to go? Those kind of things. And basically that idea is to find that gap. And the gap between what you want and what you have is the gap. And when you have that gap, you want to ask certain questions, and I've listed them there. And why did it happen? Who created it? How did it get created? Why did this gap occur? Why didn't we make it? What's the difference in our performance? What's the reason? Should we leave things alone? Sometimes that's the best answer. It's not that big of a gap. It's not that difficult. It's not that big of an impact. Don't spend your resource on something that doesn't really matter. And then, should we do what it takes to close the gap? Often you'll know it's going to be a bit expensive. It's going to be costly. It'll cost time, resource, etc. Remember, if you choose to do one thing, you're choosing not to do others. So make sure that it's worth doing. And then what should we do to close the gap? And finally, how should we close the gap? So you want to develop some ideas, and these are very similar to your goal seeking ideas. You're coming up with ideas on how to do this, and this is the key. When you come up with an idea, when you say something, when you make a statement, no matter what it is, there are only 6 things that people can say. Some people think only 3, but I think there are 6. There are 6 things people can say when you say anything. Like, the Mets are going to win the World Series, the Marlins are going to do it, or that we're going to have sales at this level, we're going to be the top innovator in this space, whatever. The questions are going to be, Why are we doing it? How will it get done? How do you know it will work? Who is going to do it? When will they do it? And if it gets done, what will be the outcome? These are the questions. What I'm stressing here is that when you make a statement, you need to answer those questions, because if you don't answer them ahead of time, when people are going to be asked of you, so anticipate the asking those questions and address them. Now, in the book, and you see, this is basically a form that I think is highly effective to doing exactly that. It works quick. In the left-hand side, you put your ideas or your solutions. Then you go through the questions. You list them and identify them and just fill them out. Why are we doing this? How are we doing this? How do you know it'll work? Who will do it? When? What will happen? Is it done? And I always like just yes or no, not 50% done. It's either done or not. Using this form, what I call a logical proofs tracking sheet, will completely support your idea or solution. From this form, it's easy to document, to write in a memo form this thing. Basically, it's just like this. You put your idea, then you go through, and remember that in the book you'll see the way logic works. You put your idea there, then you just say, now why are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? How do you know it'll work? Who is going to do it? When will it get done? And what's the outcome? And you'll have people nodding with you at the end that this is really a good idea. Remember, as it says there, only do this if you want to get ahead in your career by being a solution provider and really effective in your company. I encourage you to try this in your work, in your personal life, and in almost everything you write, and I think you'll be much benefited from it. Thanks a lot.